There, Jesus, it's all the way over here.
No, Jesus isn't
Sierra.
here tonight, Sierra. What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, we are
That's
talking
okay.
about the final 3 episodes of Death Note. But before we get into all of that, Dave, Doug, and Sierra, how y'all doing?
Super good.
Well, we go in order here, Sierra. Do you pay attention?
Oh my
Do
God.
you?
I revoke it. Say what you need to say.
I just want to know
Hi.
if Doug appreciated the Oxford comma tonight.
The
I
comma.
do. Thank you. I feel seen. I feel heard.
Well, you're not. So. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't listen to her.
What's
You guys,
up,
Dave,
Dad?
Dave's getting upset. Dave, how are you?
He's- he
sir?
Yeah,
wants
I'm
to
annoyed
go.
with my internet. I don't know what to do with this thing. I'm gonna have to switch companies. But I would
Check
like
it
to
out
say
the
that I'm
window.
fan freaking tastic. But the freaking part is what's happening right now with my internet struggles. Yeah, I've been incredibly busy. I watched these episodes immediately after our last stream, so they're not fresh in my head. But the last episode, as you know, we like to jump to the end anyway. So I'm sure I will be jumping to the end once we get in there. But yeah, I've been really busy just with everything. I got so much going on in my life right now that I can't even describe. So I'm not
Some
going to.
people,
How's that? I'm not gonna bore you all with the details.
some people will call that a blessing. You got shit going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got
Well,
stuff.
you're gonna put money in the swear jar, Sierra, tonight?
No, no, not again.
All right, I'm sorry, Doug, how are you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Oh yeah, we had a very busy weekend, all of us, I think, and um, I was a little bit busy, not a whole lot going on, no big deal. It's not like my only sister in the world got married or anything like that, but she did. My sister got married this weekend. I was in the wedding, and so congratulations to them. I just want to use this platform to give a big congratulations to my sister and her husband on their wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony. Great to be there. And I am actually kind of glad that we're recording this, that we're streaming on a Monday instead of Sunday. I don't know that I would have been able to do it yesterday. I was still pretty tired and I was grumpy.
I can only imagine.
I
But
get
it
it.
also gave me time to rewatch the episodes, kind of get prepared. We're only doing 3 this time, but they're a big 3. They're a big 3. So I can't wait to talk about them with you gentlemen and fine lady. So, Sierra, how are you?
I'm good, Doug. I'm doing
No, you
really
are
good.
Ann Sierra.
I'm and Sierra.
Yes.
I'm doing good. My weekends are usually Saturdays are usually my Mondays. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't do very much but work and come home this
Mm.
weekend, which is fine by me. And my friend is coming out this week.
Ah,
So I'm excited. I'm gonna work 7 days this week just to make sure I got time off for her. Cause
wow.
she's awesome.
That's a
Yeah,
good friend. That's a good friend that you would
yeah,
do that.
yeah. I wanted to make sure she had a good time. And we're gonna go apartment hunting. Probably she's talking about going to California.
And
Get
also, thank you, Sierra, for doing your part to help capitalism.
of course.
Crazy
Democracy,
oligarchy. Down with
actually.
the people.
But yeah. So nothing happened this weekend, but it will next weekend. So I'm excited. How about is it comma Keith?
We
No,
can
it's
do
just
comma, Keith.
Okay, comma Keith, how you doing?
I am tremendous. Another, wonderful weekend. All my sports teams, all my sports ball teams won. So, it's a good time.
I
I
did not.
Oh, real quick. Let me sneak in there into your how you doing real quick because you brought up sports ball. I just want to mention, I'm pretty sure our fellow nerds out there are familiar with the fact that I don't know sports. These two start talking about it, and you can see like my eyes kind of just I don't know what they're talking about.
That's
Well,
what happened to me too. Yeah.
it turns out my sister's husband and all of his other whatever
Cronies,
you call
Friends,
the people,
friends,
Rat
groomsmen,
Pack,
relatives,
groomsmen.
groomsmen.
All of
Oh,
his other
groomsmen.
groomsmen are very much into sports, very, very sportsy boys. And I was not. And so they decided that for one of the pictures, they want to all go out to a softball field and they want us to hold bats as if we were going to going to hit a ball, which I have no experience actually doing. So I had to be told by the woman taking the pictures, this is how you hold a bat.
Mhm.
I hope we get to see
You are
this
welcome
picture
for that.
sometime.
Yeah, I want to see that.
He's got a bat like balancing on the top of his head or something. He's like,
So so Keith, I'm sorry, but please continue.
No, that was worth it. That was definitely worth it. But we should get into this because we finished Death Note.
Yes.
And even though the part 2 has been, I don't want to say
Subpar?
dropping off a cliff, but steadily going downhill a bit in quality, the last episode was quite phenomenal, I think. I think they did a great job of wrapping this series up. They did something
Yeah.
that Dexter wouldn't do and everything else. You know, they did what needed to be done. And it was foreshadowed early on by Ryuk, and it came true.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice.
yeah, I think the difference between American or Western entertainment is that they want to leave the door open in case somebody wants a sequel or something or to continue the story. And I think that's just wrap up the story. With Dexter, they
Yeah.
should have just wrapped it up. It would have been, Breaking Bad, they wrapped it up. Nice job.
Yeah.
But not every show does that. And I think in other countries, like I watched this show from England called Coupling. They only had 3 seasons written, so they did 3 seasons. That was it. In other countries, they do that. And in America, or they like to leave it open for sequels.
They want to milk it for as much as they
Yeah.
can. They're going to pump out as many seasons. They're going to try and find, oh, well, a side character could have their entire series, a la Big Bang Theory, Young Sheldon, and now whatever the new thing is that they're making.
They got another
Yeah.
thing coming out.
Yeah.
Well, here's another thing about the Death Note, though. This was a perfect series for that type of thing.
Mhm.
Even though at the end, you'll know what happens in a minute. But even though at the end of it, no matter what happened at the end of it, they could always have another season because Ryuk could just drop the notebook again. So they could do that forever.
If he gets
If
a
they
little
wanted.
bored, all he's
Yeah.
got to do is
Yep.
steal
So
And
this
the
show
no
was
one,
made for sequels.
no fan would be disrespected by this. I feel like all the fans would be like, "Yeah, I'm down. I want to see another story. I want more of this." For the fans who are diehard and want more Ryuk and Light and probably rewatch all the
Well, not
seasons
Light.
all the time. Well, I mean, some people do. That's all I'm
Well, they're
saying.
not going to get it.
Well,
Yeah.
just so you all know, I'm sure you probably found this out while you were, enjoying your journey through Death Note, but it's a little bit bigger than I think Sierra and I kind of let on when we were introducing it to you. But it's a big deal. When we said that it was one of like the pillar anime, we weren't joking. It really is. It is a huge deal in Japan, and they love it so much that they have made several reinterpretations in live action and developed 2 different versions of a musical.
You know, it's funny you
They
say
don't
that
need a musical though. honestly.
because when I'm tagging our
Music's
videos,
not bad. I listened to some of the songs today. It's actually pretty fire.
when I did the tags on like our first YouTube video, it said like Light Yagami song or something, and I was like, okay,
What?
whatever. I did not know. I should have figured it out. That's pretty funny.
Well, no, they
Starring
wrote
Lady
2
Gaga, of
musicals
course.
because one was written in Japan, one was written in the United States, but really only, or I'm sorry, no, in England. One was written in England, and it really only toured around London and in a couple of London theaters. But a Texas theater group bought the license to redo the play in Texas only for whatever weird ass reason.
So we're doing a road trip to Texas?
I dare you.
Why don't you go ahead and let me know how it goes?
I don't
Because
think
I'm
I
not
want to
excited.
see. Go ahead.
I'm not really excited for that new Joker movie because it's a musical. I'm not going to be excited about a Death Note musical. I can do this all day, right, Keith?
By far the greatest post-credit scene outside of the Vulture showing up in Morbius that we've gotten. So
Chef's kiss.
That made Morbius, man. That movie was so good because of that scene.
Without that end
It's your
credit
favorite
scene,
movie.
Morbius only would have been a 9.8, but that
Yeah.
end credit scene pushed it to a 12.
check out
Definitely.
our At the Theater review of
Absolutely.
Morbius, where we all give it a 13 out of 10. But, leading up to that final episode, one of our complaints was, they introduced Mello, then he was just kind of gone. So it was good to see him back and play an integral part in catching Light. I had talked about it, I think, a couple weeks ago. I'm like, it really will take both of them, I think, to catch him, because he does plan things out so meticulously. So I'm like, okay, good to see him back. As soon as I saw he was the one picking up Tadaka, I was like, okay, this is part of the plan, and let's see where it goes. But unlike the rest of part 2, it's like Light had kind of planned for this contingency a little bit. It's like, okay, you have part of the Death Note, we know his name, you know his face now. Once you see his face, you can write it in, we got him, but, the damage had already been done. But it was just nice seeing that, back and forth cat and mouse with their, planning out what each other was going to do and how they're going to counter it. It was good seeing that.
Yeah, that last episode was good. Everything leading up to it was just like kind of waiting for that last episode to me, I mean, like I've said all along, if they were just going to replace L with a mini L or a younger L, then they shouldn't have replaced L at all. And I'm not going to say that that last episode saved it, and I'm going to give it a 10 now. But that was a pretty good last episode.
It wrapped
I
up the
think they
story
wrapped it
nicely.
Nicely.
And
Thanks, you owe me a Coke.
Yep. And of course, watching episode 28 or 36, I-28 or 128, for the January 28th. Of course, I am so glad that I did not have to wait a week or whatever it was to watch that last episode, because it ends up, I have won. And I'm like, they're like, to be continued. I'm like, thank God I just have to hit next episode right now.
Right.
Or I would be very angry right now.
Like, really? What? I have to wait a whole week? or you're like, I have to wait 2 weeks because there's some sort of holiday that's prevent.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
gee.
Yeah.
They put it out at Christmas. They do it like an Invincible. Did somebody say absolutely?
No.
Absolutely,
No.
absolutely, absolutely.
No. Imagine if they had done that with like Invincible, right? But they did all of them except for the episode 37. And they put 37 out in March or something.
Right.
Oh, that'd be
Everyone's
nice.
like, wait, what happened? I'm gonna need a recap episode real quick. Catch me up.
Yeah, like you did on the 26th episode, all that recapping.
A lot of anime does that.
Oh yeah, that's what
Yeah.
me and Sierra were talking about with One Piece, that half the show was a recap.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the beginning, the opening alone is like 3 whole minutes, dude. And then the recap,
Dude,
and then the plot, and then the outro. Here's what's gonna happen next episode.
Almost all the Shonen Jump anime is like that though.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's
Yeah,
because
trim that
there's
out.
so little material in the book.
I
They
wouldn't
kinda
say
have
that
to
with One
stretch it out.
Piece. I wouldn't say that with One Piece, but other anime, yeah, that makes sense.
I
But
mean,
One
like,
Piece
I
keeps
don't
being
know. I don't
unnecessary.
understand why they would feel it's necessary to do that then. Like, unless they think, because the target audience is kids, they're not going to remember as much. I don't know.
Short attention span.
I really don't. I can't tell you because it's been since 1998 that show's been coming out.
Hmm.
So I can't tell you. They have material because if they didn't, it wouldn't be, still on air today. So I really have no idea with them. But I know with some animes, yeah, I get
Oh
that.
yeah, they did it with One Piece, with Dragon Ball Z, with Bleach, with um, I think they did it with Naruto too.
I think
Hmm.
they did. I refuse to
Like the
watch
earlier
because
seasons,
of the
not
power
not
of
as it like
friendship.
went on, but yeah, they would spend so much of the. You're right, about 3 minutes of the episode. Last time on such and such, Doodly Doo was in the air and saying a really long command that was going to power it up. But what he didn't realize is that Hoodly Hoo hadn't reached his final form.
Are those actual names? Should I be writing these
Yeah.
down?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like
Doodly who and
And
doodly
then after that, then you've got the 1 minute and 30-second long intro song.
Yep. Yep.
Then you get
Yeah.
into the episode, and they have to catch you up again further by rediscussing a thing that they had already just discussed. And
Yeah.
then
Yep.
their motivations of what they're going to do next. Begin
Yep.
to do that thing, then the episode ends with another 1 minute and 30-second outro song, followed by some dumb, goofy BS. Ha ha! Look at this character. Oh, but this isn't canon. This is just time waster.
you sounded like
So
Or
Mickey
a
you
Mouse
guys,
there
3 minute
for a second.
preview of the next episode.
you guys aren't doing any shonens, are you?
Not for a while. Not until we get them to actually enjoy normal, non BS anime stuff.
Wouldn't you
Well,
consider Attack on Titan a shonen?
Yeah, but they kind of cut out a lot of the useless stuff. It is a shonen anime for sure. Because
But they have a lot of
like
detail.
I would have them watch probably even Demon Hunter
Demon
or Demon
Slayer?
Slayer
Demon
before
Slayer.
Demon Hunter?
I'd have them watch like Demon Slayer. That's technically a shonen anime, but without a lot
It
of the
is. I would have you guys watch that for sure. I
Well,
love
you know
that
what
it's
we
anime.
should
beautifully
do?
animated.
We should write
We
an
should
anime called Demon
talk
Hunter.
about this one. We should talk
We
about
should
Death
talk
Note.
about this
We,
one.
we should
You're
talk
right,
about
Dave.
Death
We
Note
probably should talk
before
about
we
Death
move
Note,
on.
but we tangented.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's not enough room on the
Anime.
screen for us to tangent.
Yes, we don't have a tangent thing on this tiny
Oh,
screen.
come on.
But let's talk about Masuda and him being the one that shoots light when he was trying to write the names down in his little scrap of the Death Note. It was a nice thing, because he had been earlier on like, I kind of see Kira's, plan. He's wrong or whatever, but I kind of understand what he's doing. It was a nice, redemption for him.
We said that a couple of times.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, when Kira first comes to light, he's like, "Yeah, but I mean, crime is way down, and I'm just saying, I think we should catch him, but you can't argue with the results."
I mean, yeah, you can't. You can argue with results. I'm just saying, if I notice that crime's going down and the quality of life is getting better,
Oh yeah, they go on to
I'm
mention not only has crime gone down, but war has ended.
yeah, I'm gonna be a little more lenient. I'm gonna be like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna catch him because I want to find out who he is, but I don't need to. Like, I'm be like, I want to catch him,
You can't
but
bestow that type of power on one person.
That's
You
right.
can't do it.
'Cause,
well, it was on two people technically.
but think about it. All of a sudden, someone cuts him off when he's driving,
Mhm.
to Jersey Mike's. Jersey Mike's, get your subs. But all of a sudden he's like, write down that guy's name. Did he commit a crime? No, but he did. He was a bad driver. So let's start killing him. Dave's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
You can't have one person like that be judge, jury, and executioner because it's not, the right thing. I am sure, well, we know he killed a
Oh.
lot of innocent people, the ones that were trying to catch him, but he probably killed a lot of innocent criminals too that
Mm-hmm.
while maybe their face was shown on TV saying they committed this crime, might not have been true. The justice system isn't perfect in any country. So really, I mean, he was just murdering tons of people. And while there
Yep.
may have been some positive benefits, still not the right thing to do.
I couldn't
I
have
don't
said it
know.
any better.
But I'm sure the
If
shorter
you guys
lines
had,
everywhere around Japan and everywhere else around the world were probably appreciated too.
Yeah, Bill Burr would love this guy.
if you guys had a death note, whose names would you write in it?
None.
Well, I thought we went over this before, and we will not be disclosing these things on this show. Thank you. Thank you for asking, though.
I
No.
think I know who
Well,
yours
okay.
are, Dad.
So it depends on whether I have the Death Note and I'm free and clear of the Shinigami that owned it.
Okay. Clear of the Shinigami and clear of the
Yeah.
Half-Life thing.
Because if you guys caught one of the little entries that they show you on screen of one of the rules is if the human owner of Death Note refuses to write any names in the Death Note, the Shinigami must force a human to do so.
You know, I stopped reading those after a certain point when they didn't reflect what was going on in the show, when they were just giving you
Mhm.
like random rules, and I expected something to happen, like Keith was talking about a couple episodes ago, and then nothing happened. I stopped reading them.
Yeah.
I still read them. I was always hoping for something cool, some little
Yeah,
tidbit.
no, it makes sense. I get it. You're like, oh, there's a reason I'm waiting for it, and then yeah, I get it. I get it.
No, to me, yeah, I was like you, Dave. I didn't really read all of them, but every now and again, one would kind of pop out, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That, clearly the creator went to enough trouble to do this world building, whether it made any sense in the episode or not, it probably had nothing to do with what was going on. But the fact that he thought about it and was like, well, this needs to be answered. I need people to understand, why things are being done this way in this world, even if it doesn't tie directly into that. And that's something that I wouldn't have thought of, but clearly somebody had posed to him, what if Ryuk could drop the Death Note into somebody's hands who was a pacifist that didn't want to kill anybody? What if they just hung on to it? Well, you know, the story would be stalled. There would not be a story. So obviously there's got to be a rule in place. If a Death Note is dropped, then obviously according to the rules of the Shinigami realm, well, so it doesn't just sit there being unused, and so the Death God doesn't, inadvertently die from not being able to write names in it, then that must mean the Shinigami needs to force a human, you will write names in it or you're going to have to give it up to me.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like the ones when they're
No.
like, if 6 Death Notes are in the world,
Right,
the
yeah.
7th
The
Death Note
real
won't have
random
any
ones.
power until one of the other Death Notes is. I was like, okay.
It's like, okay, something happened here.
Yeah.
There's a story about why this is a rule.
the,
Something
Shin-
happened off camera.
Right.
the Shinigami
Like,
Keith was like,
Three.
oh, I lost another Death Note.
The Shinigami Keith.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh.
I want to go back real quick to the first episode in this group that we watched.
Oh, I thought you were going to say back to the USSR.
No, 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 no. So
Don't know how lucky you are.
in episode 35, right? So this is where we finally get Mello taking a little bit more action. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but the guy that's working with him that gets shot, he's got a very, creative, wonderful name. You can tell the creators put some real thought into it when they called him Matt.
Yeah.
I liked it. Was it with 1 or 2 T's?
2 T's.
Okay, cool.
So, first off, crazy that they mention, oh, this is Japan. You guys don't have guns, riddled with bullets instantly. Just becomes a pincushion. Like, oh, we escalated it. Okay, but then the next part. Okay, so Mello is driving with Takada. Is that Takada? Mello's driving with Takada, and his goal is to obviously get her out of the situation because he knows that she's working with Kira. obviously,
That's what I
knows
just don't
that
know the deal
she
about.
has a hand. She is possibly using a Death Note or pages from a Death Note. Either way, he knows that she's gotten some involvement, more so than just the voice of Kira. So the fact that he has that sort of like split second, it's like he's just not thinking straight. The fact that she says, "Well, turn around. I don't want you looking at me." He's telling her to remove all of her personal art, her personal effects, all of her clothing, everything, to make sure that she doesn't have a notebook or any of the pages on her. But then
Yeah.
he agrees to turn around.
Yeah. So how's he gonna know if she's still got something? Unless, well, she's gonna hide it somewhere
And
where.
that's what seals his fate. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, that was
Mhm.
stupid. Like, you're supposed to be, you are one of the potential successors to L. That was dumb. And I
Yes.
know that sometimes writers have to do things to move the story along to make things happen, but that seemed out of character for Mello, at least to me.
No, it did. And once
Yeah.
again, watching it, it fit with how the writing has gone on part two. Instead of
Yeah.
writing this excellent narrative that sort of makes sense and everything, they're kind of doing the okay, he's going to act out of character because I need him to for this scene.
Yeah.
And that happened
Also,
multiple times in part two.
may I ask, what do you all think? Did Light really need to kill her?
No. Obviously, she knew who he was, but she was okay with that. She wasn't gonna give him up, and he wanted to be known in the end, anyways. He wanted to be known throughout the world as this is I am the god of this world. So, what purpose did it serve to kill her?
I don't know because he claims that he needs to remove the evidence. The only bit of evidence she had on her person was the little scrap that she used to kill Mello.
Which
And
got
that could have
burned.
easily been torn up, destroyed, whatever. You didn't need to go that far.
Yeah,
I think
he
it
got
was
he got a little
sign of him
psychotic.
cracking, though.
See, I
It
can't
seemed-
hear you.
I think it was a sign of him cracking, though.
Oh, yeah, that's I think so too. I think that he was kind of losing it. He was losing his grip. I think there was some voice in his head still telling him that he had a chance, he was gonna win. But I think his subconscious was like, bro, you've lost. You've lost this. Nier has outsmarted you and you know it.
I wanted to bring it up, and before you even
Before
brought
you
up
do,
that,
NYSQ cashed in an Emperor Palpatine. So you're on the clock, Doug. 5 minutes, sir.
I was going to ask you guys if you noticed during these 3 episodes that Light, the guy doing the voice for Light, got really breathy when he was talking. He was always kind of out of breath.
Yeah.
So that's another little thing, little detail that I thought was kind of cool because you show that he's cracking up, and now it's in his voice too. That was kind of cool.
You should listen to the Japanese version of that same incident.
Well, I don't want it to sound like he's having sex or something. I want it to sound like
That's only the females.
like he's panicking rather than anything pleasurable.
But on that note, too, when he, at the end of episode 36, 128, when he's like, oh my God, I can't laugh out loud now. Oh, and he's like so giddy. And it was like, oh my God, this is not, it really showed that the logical Light from part one and early on in part one was gone at this point. He really.
You could see it. You could see it on his face.
I thought that was-
could feel his hatred, his anger. You could sense it as he fell even deeper into the dark side at the first.
I thought that was kind of depressing for his character development, though.
What?
I was like, that's a shame. I wanted him to be smarter than that, less emotional, more logical.
But he was. It was
you
the
think
Death
about it.
Note that corrupted him, that caused him to go that way, is how I look at it. He would have
Yeah.
not been that way except for the Death Note corruption. And, if
And
they
he had been doing it for like 7 years. It's going to take a toll on you.
Yeah.
But Sierra, Have you not heard the tale of Light Yagami the Dumb?
Oh.
It is a sad tale, a deep, dark, depressing tale of a young man who in high school discovers a magical notebook and then does not grow up or emotionally change in any way, shape, or form over the next several years and remains a stunted virgin. Just
Yeah.
like all good Sith
Oh,
apprentices.
I doubt that she didn't jump his bones. That's all I'm
Light
saying.
Yagami the confused.
The confused, yes.
You know, the little at the end of the show when they showed Misa just kind of like sitting there, kind of sad. That was you felt bad for her. You were like, wow,
But she got out.
she did get out,
Oh,
but did she get out?
no, she didn't.
She got
No,
out.
she didn't. You
Well, she's got
you
another
you didn't
200 years to live.
you didn't gather how that scene ended?
What am I gathering?
Didn't she jump?
She was up very high for a reason.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh.
No.
yeah,
Oh no, 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 no.
yeah.
I'm checking your work right.
No,
Yeah,
she
we
did.
got
I was watching the credits and I was like, yep. I mean, it makes sense. This show was not a
It's a
MGM.
family picture.
It's not an MGM
Where's
happy
Palpatine?
ending. You know, after
Got a
that,
Palpatine there, Doc.
after what happened to Light, which I liked. Oh my god, I almost forgot the moment when Nier was like, "Don't chase him. He's not going to get far," and Iraga was like, "You're not telling us what to do." I was like, "Yes." Who else would listen to this kid playing with toys like that?
Yes, that's right. Don't listen to the man of authority. I am the Senate.
No, it is true.
You know what? It was awesome that
She did kill herself. I'm depressed.
it was awesome that little L did everything he did, or Diet L, to do everything he did to make Light crack up. That was awesome. Why did he call you God? You know, why is he so calm talking to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously Kira. That scene when he did that, and that really cracked him up when he's like, oh my God, he knows. You know.
Yeah. You can't stop it.
Now,
Yeah.
I have a question for you, gentlemen, and I must know. Answer me at once.
Suit.
Time is up,
When-
sir.
Gotta hear a question.
okay.
Yeah.
So when Nier actually, goes through and he's explaining, he's going through his sort of his Dexter moment of explaining exactly what you missed and how he tricked you and sort of Sherlock Holmes moment thing. Were any of you kind of like puzzled at the fact like, oh, and also we knew that in this one instance, whatever the guy's name was,
Oh,
Mitsubishi, whatever.
Mikami.
Yeah, sure. No, the guy.
Which guy?
Yeah, is it? Oh, is it Mikami? Yeah.
Mikami,
Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, the DA. Yeah.
we knew that at one point that we knew that he was using a fake notebook, but we also knew that he was at one point going to retrieve the real notebook, and so at that moment, in one night only, my agent was able to get in there, and he was able to replace some of the pages of the real notebook with paper from fake paper. And so when we knew that as he was going to write everybody's name, that everybody would be fine. But
Did he?
first off, how full of yourself are you that you're just going to assume the magic notebook isn't going to magicify the paper, like once you put it in.
Right.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. How do you know? How did you
How do
know
you
that
know?
wasn't gonna happen?
Plot
Also,
hole.
you were able to pull off this amazing one-night heist of a guy who has a routine and has been checking, dotting his I's and crossing his T's and checking everything. I mean, this guy's been very thorough with pretty much everything. And the fact that they were able to pull this off, and then we're just not going to go into any detail. It happened, accept it, moving on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I know you've got to wrap this up. It's the end of the show. You got a Star Wars to make. You got to be done. Let's go. Let's get this done.
we
I
switched
went
out
ahead,
the real notebook. Oh, but I knew you were going to switch out the real notebook.
right?
But we knew that you knew we were going to
We
switch
knew
out the
that
real
you
notebook.
knew that
So
we knew.
it was like
It's
they're spinning the
so
table with the poison
extra.
drink for an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like, okay, I'm thinking, all right, well, obviously they probably explain it a little bit better in the book. Not by much. It's about just as convoluted. In the actual original, the story in the book, all they do is they expand and they say that he keeps the real notebook locked up in a bank deposit box. And so he has to make a special trip to the bank, open up his security box, and that's when he's able to use the real notebook. And that he only does this like once a month. Nier explains, we've been following him, we've been tailing him for a couple of months now, and so we know that this is his routine. And so we thought it was out of the ordinary that he visited it like, this one week and then the next week, and that also happened to be the day that what's her name died.
Yeah, Tanaka.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Tanaka died. And so it was they explained it a little bit more, but not by much. Because now you've added the complication, okay, so if he pulled off this heist to get his hands on the real notebook, how the heck did he get into this dude's bank security deposit box? Unless laws are a little bit more lax in Japan, where they're like, sure, you want to get into this guy's box? Go for it.
That's what I was
Yeah, you
thinking
gotta
too,
keep-
because they weren't a Japanese law enforcement.
That's true. But still, without a warrant,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
maybe they don't need warrants
a
in
warrant in
Japan. I
Japan?
don't know. What'd you say?
I don't know
What'd
if
you
you
say to
need
me?
a warrant. I don't know if you need a warrant.
You're gonna have to
Again,
need a
I'm not.
warrant.
I'm not sure. It was a little nitpick. I get it. It's not super duper important. It was just something that I picked up on that I never thought about before. Just how exactly they pulled off this switcheroo, this you son of a bitch, I'm in moment.
That's pretty much. And I thought the same thing when he's like, "Oh, we went and switched it." I was like, "Okay, did you pick the lock? Did you work with other
Right.
law enforcement? What,
Well, they
I
showed him
wanted-
picking the lock.
Well, yeah, we see him picking a lock at like a gym locker, which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I could do that.
Because for those of you who have used the
We're not
safety
secure.
deposit box, you just don't walk up to a box. You have to have a key,
Right?
and then they let you into the room. So
Yeah.
now,
And
Maybe it's
don't
'cause
they
they're
normally have a
friends. That's
second
just what
key
it
that
is.
they have to use?
yes. Well, no,
So,
you have
I mean, it's not.
you get a key to get let in, then you have a key to your box. But they
And
have
then
to let
they
you
have a
into-
key to let you into that room.
Yes.
So you can't even get in that room without assistance.
Right. And then while you're in there, they're standing outside the door to make sure nobody goes in. They're giving you the opportunity to go into your box by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And they won't let two people in at once. You have to wait
Right.
if someone's in there.
So he knew that the cops were there immediately after him because he watched them go in.
Mhm. Yep. Mhm.
Hey,
Makes you
well,
wonder.
I'll be seeing you guys.
You know, with all of the sort of nitpicks we have on part two,
Oh,
I did enjoy how confident Nier was.
Mhm.
With, oh, don't worry, none of us are going to die.
Right.
I was like,
And again, you don't fully understand this book. How did you know? Like, I mean, I guess we've figured out by now that obviously the paper itself has to come from the book, but Nier doesn't know that.
nope.
no.
A little overconfident, I think.
No, definitely, but you know, you would have to be in that situation and catch this mass murderer that,
I don't know that L would have made the same move though.
he would not have.
No.
Well, not to jump to the end here, but
We are
the-
an hour
the
in,
very-
so it's all right.
the very ending is it reminded me a lot of Cowboy Bebop. How he just, he died on the stairs right there. And I love what Ryuk said right before he did it. He was like, "You are going to prison. You are, I'm not just going to sit around while you're in prison." So I'm sorry, it's been very interesting.
Mhm.
I got nothing left for you, buddy.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, and I think any Shinigami would have done the same thing. They're gonna be like, Yeah, no, I'm not waiting around because I think that must also be another one of the rules. I haven't seen it written down, but I think because Ryuk brings it up, he mentions it almost as soon as he meets Light. He goes, I will be the one to write your name in my death note, and I think that must be whether it's a written rule or not. I think that is a rule of the Shinigami realm. I think once a Shinigami gives you a notebook, your fate is in their hands.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
if you're holding a death note, you better make it interesting for the Shinigami, or they're gonna write your
Yeah.
name sooner rather than later. I think Light
'Cause
lived a
they
long
don't.
life because Ryuk was like, he's figuring out stuff I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Go,
They're
Light.
different creatures. They don't have relationships like humans have relationships. I feel
No.
like they probably look at us like playthings.
Yeah.
Not Rem. Rem fell in love.
Yeah, but she was different.
Wasn't
That's
she?
why. She was different. She had that thing, you know?
You know who was
That X
different
Factor.
was Misa Misa because two Shinigami fell in love with her. Two of them.
Yeah.
And Light didn't.
And Light did, yeah.
Light wasn't fall in love with anybody. He loved himself too much.
I was
Mhm.
worried that we were going to see at the end, like, as sad as it was that Misa, ended her own life, which I think written well. She was a very loving character, very hard, fell deep. And when Light was dead, obviously it affected her. I thought they were going to show her pregnant. But thank God, like Dave said,
Ooh.
this isn't a Western TV show. They ended it like they should have, He used her basically I mean, he was a master manipulator. The way he used Rem, the way he used Misa, Taka, everybody that he, Mikami, everyone. He was an absolute master manipulator. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sad to see him go. And I was glad that it was Matsuda, who kind of did it.
Yeah.
Stood up for himself, and I'm like, I'm
That
glad
was him,
that
I think, finally drawing his line in the sand, like, okay, I do stand on the side of proper justice. Kira needs to be put an end to this.
Yep. And it wasn't just because he was about to
Matsuda
write their
was
names.
Matsuda was like the most emotional of that team. Every time something happened, he was either really up or really down.
Well, I
He
think
was
out of
really
all
side.
of them, he was the one that considered himself on friendly terms with Light. Like, even Light mentions back when L was still around. He goes, when we go on this investigation mission, I should be on the team with Matsuda because it wouldn't look unusual if people saw the two of us hanging out. We're close enough in age.
Yep. And it felt Matsuda felt absolutely betrayed by Light.
Absolutely betrayed.
You know it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it was sad for him. Light ruined, well, millions of lives, obviously, but, really crushed the people around him. He thought, he was doing the right thing and, all this stuff. And there was some positive benefits to the world around him. But man, some of the people closest to him were utterly destroyed by it.
Imagine after all that's said and done, imagine grappling with the trauma that they were jerked around for like 5+ years, unable to solve the crime because the leader of their department was the criminal, and they never, like, they may have had some inklings, but they never really truly caught on. And the fact that they were being led by this mass murderer for that long, I mean, that's got to mess with you as any sort of law enforcement personnel. Like, that's got to really get to you deep down, the fact that am I shit at my job?
Well,
Am I that bad?
especially being tricked by him. They were the ones when he put himself in jail for that time, and they were like, "You gotta let him out. It's all this, it's all that." I mean, you feel terrible, feeling like you've been tricked by this master criminal for all that time. But they still
How are
got
you ever
paid
going
for
to get
5
another
years.
job as a detective? Yeah. How are you going to get another job as a detective? You've been working on a task force to get Kira with Kira.
Right, right. Oh God, yeah. Imagine like so
Right under
at the
your
end of it all,
nose.
They go to talk to the chief, like, well, chief, it's over. We got him. Did you though?
Nope.
Did you though?
Nope.
You know he led you all for 5 years. You know you're all fired, right? All of you are super fired.
No, they didn't get fired. You guys have new jobs. You guys are security at the Tokyo Dome.
Oh God.
So
Now,
let's
there is
ask our first question of our viewers.
Oh, we got a question.
We should ask them questions and have
Oh.
them give us some answers. What do you think,
Sure.
guys? You think it's a good idea?
Go for it. Ask a question.
Ask your
I mean,
questions.
Who? I think it's some. I'll start off with a basic question. Who do you think was smarter during the whole series? If you think it was L, put L in the comments. But if you think it was Kira, put Kira, or put a K. Or if you think it was Near, put N. Let's see what you think. Let's see what everybody thinks about that, and you can explain why if you want to.
We got one vote for L from Not Your Status Quo on Twitch. Thank you,
Nice.
Not Your Status Quo. That was very nice, yeah. Oh, and on
Yes, I'm
YouTube,
thoroughly patting myself on my back.
Keith Richter says L, and Tall Guy 0403 also says L. So we got so far 3 votes for L, which, I think Doug talked about this on another one of our streams. L was definitely smarter, more logical, but Light knew how the Death Note worked, knew how all this stuff. He had the knowledge that L didn't have. And that's how he was able to stay almost, kind of half a step in front of L, not because he was smarter, because he knew how everything worked that was being used. Oh, and Nysith says L also. So, yes, seems to be pretty unanimous so far, L. What do you think, Sierra?
I think L is the best character. He's my favorite character. I don't care about Misa. I like Misa. She could be my second favorite, maybe.
Well, I'm gonna talk about smartest though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I'm biased because I already liked L. So yeah, I think he's the best. I think he's
Well, you, Doug?
I think he's the smartest.
Oh, I've already made it clear. I think Al was definitely smarter.
So we
For
all
sure.
agree L was the best, the smartest on the show.
I think out of all of them, like I've made it pretty clear that I am I'm of the mind that what they did with the one of the live action shows of the play, I don't remember which it was, where they combined the characters of Nier and Mello. I think that was a better choice, and I think that's what they should have done even with the anime. I know it would have broken away from the original story, but I think it makes even more sense. And the writer even said, "I wish I would have thought of that," because it is a generally more interesting idea than just having. I guess the best way to describe it is they're the two extreme versions of L. You've got, Nier, who is incredibly childlike, constantly, playing with toys and looks very small and young, and but he seems almost emotionally stunted like a child as well. And so when he comes to his conclusions, it lacks a bit of maturity, at least to me. Mello, on the other hand, is the other extreme. He's overly emotional, and that drives all of his decisions. He's smart, sure, but he's also filled with like a lot of extra anger and competitive nature. So he's going to let all of those guide his decisions more so than his own intelligence. But again, just to try and make him more like L, he's got this weird obsession with constantly eating candy.
Yeah. It was always chocolate bars with him, too.
Always chocolate bars with him.
Like, it was, with L, it was anything sweet. He was always eating something different, dumping a bunch of sugars in his coffee, and, and that's...
He was keeping himself stimulated, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like mentally stimulated, yeah.
And,
well, for those of you who know me, this won't come as a shock, okay? I am not a man.
Oh, and he's gone.
Yes, and he is not a man. Those of us who
That's-
know him know.
I,
No,
I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
He's
hope
in
it
secret.
wasn't.
He's been my mom this whole time.
That is a perfect cut. Oh my god. Turn that into a short.
I was gonna say,
I am not a man. Gone.
Oh jeez.
nice
Look,
work, Dave.
like,
That was very
crazy.
well played. But, you know, and for
Good
the most
work,
part,
Mom.
too, I think you're right, Doug. I think it would have worked if they would have been different personalities of the same person. Because Dave has mentioned this multiple times. Nier was basically Diet L. They needed a character
Yeah,
like L, and they're like, well, let's make him a little different. He plays with toys instead of
didn't
eats
need to do
candy.
that.
Oh, and you know what we can do to really separate him from? When he flies to Japan, he needs an adult to ride with him. Oh, that'll separate it out. And honestly, it was just like, okay, you guys convinced me he's not L. Oh, wow, you guys really did a job there.
Ooh. Right, yeah.
I feel like it would have been more satisfying if Elle did it. I would have been more satisfied.
I agree. Finally figured out a way.
Yes.
Like after seeing him go through his kind of depressed state, when he's like, I know it's you and I cannot prove it. There's no way I can. To actually figuring out the way to handle it and catching him finally. That would have been the best ending.
I feel like a lot of the fandom feels that way too. I just don't know why. I just don't know why they had to do it. But it does it does make sense to the story.
My assumption was they needed to give Kira a win to make him a more substantial threat. Because so far, we've seen him mostly kill a bunch of nameless people. All we know is that he goes on a killing rampage against mostly criminals. Every now and again, we're introduced pretty thoroughly to a character that he ends up killing. Like, for instance, the FBI agent. We know a little bit more about him. We get more of his backstory. And then the FBI agent's wife, so Ray Pember and then his wife, he kills both of them. And those are some of the first characters that we get to know before Kira offs them. And so now it's like, okay, well, we've got two people that we know somewhat about that does kind of up his threat level. But again, the majority of the people that he's killing, it's like Han Solo shooting stormtroopers. Who cares? We don't know them. They're a bunch of minions. No big deal. But now we give Kira, something on his resume. He has gotten rid of the most prolific detective. This guy is so good at what he does. He's constantly contacted by multiple countries, the international police. He has clearly billions of dollars available to him because of what an amazing detective he is. And the fact that now Kira has been able to eliminate him. Now the threat is even more real than it was before.
And that definitely was impactful. You know, he figured out a way by using Rem's love for Misa to get her to kill Elle. It was well done, but it would have been nice, even if he died at the end, to be the one that figured it out.
I think the Western way of doing that, if this had been like an animated series that was made by like the US or something like that, I feel like their way of going about it, they would have made it seem like Elle had died, and then at the very last episode, he would have said, "Oh, hello, Kira. What? How are you here? I know I killed you. Oh, you must have missed the rule that was in the inside back cover. It states that if you burn the page that a name is written on before the 40 seconds takes effect, that in actuality the person will not die. But you didn't see that, Kira, because once again you weren't paying attention to all of the details. Therefore, I am smarter than you, and I have won."
I learned that if you write the last person's name you wrote in here, if you write it upside down and backwards, then that person...
Right, yeah. They would have put some dumb loophole in there that the real Kira would have figured out, but they're going to put it in there just to try and save face at the very end. And here, so on one hand, yeah, I would have liked to see the final showdown go between Elle and Kira. I think it would have felt more like momentous, but I understand why they did it at the same time. Again, you got to give Kira like a big win in the middle of the series, or like just as it's reaching its peak before everything kind of comes to its conclusion.
And the one thing I thought they could have done better, I thought, the reason Nier got him was because of all of L's notes. Everything
Yeah.
else said him was really what let him hone in on Light and know it was him.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have hinted
He,
at
he
that
did
a
very
little
little
more.
actual detective work on his own.
Yeah.
We were commenting about that, like, I think at the beginning of part 2, he's like hi, my name is N, and by the way, you're Kira. Excuse me? What led you to
Immediately.
that conclusion, sir, who is not even in Japan?
The Shinigami's there, so does that mean Kira is also there? Wait a minute.
Oh,
Ryuk's
but now,
like,
okay,
"Hey, man,
speaking of the
you did it."
Shinigami, I love the fact that Nier reveals at the very end, and by the way, I've been able to see the Shinigami all along. Even Ryuk's like, oh yeah, I guess he does. Damn. Got me again.
I think he's just so, he's like, oh God, this is the boring part. When are they going to start killing people? Wait, that kid can see me? He didn't even freak out.
Right.
Wow.
What are your thoughts, Sierra?
I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I zoned out for a second.
Oh, well,
I'm so sorry.
well, at least like
Also,
you were.
actually, you know what the funny part is? I'm zoning out watching the stream and I still don't know.
Still don't know what.
Don't know what you guys said last.
Oh,
We're talking about towards the end. We're talking about how Nier basically was using L's notes essentially to come to his conclusion. He didn't really do a whole lot of detective work on
and
his own.
it felt cheap. It felt like a cheap win because of that too. Honestly, at least in my perspective, it did. It felt like it was just
yeah, like we are saying,
it
he
wasn't
wouldn't have made
needed.
it.
Sorry.
He wouldn't have made it that far without L's notes.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Nobody would have.
The series would have been a hell of a lot longer because he would have essentially been starting at scratch.
But
Right. They would have to do another 26 episodes.
Yeah.
as far as plot goes, though, I understand why they would have Light kill L. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
No,
He
Doug's
was the
right.
smartest guy in the room. Light and L were the smartest guys in the room. And L was smarter than Light, and Light's, I gotta get you out of this room.
Yep.
It makes sense. It just sucks.
Now, Sierra, have you read the manga?
Manga.
Manga.
No, I've seen snippets here and there, but I didn't.
Well, I do want to recap the way that it ends versus the anime. And I would argue I like both for what they are. And so I
You
personally I
gotta
don't
pick
think
one.
one
Nope,
is
you
better
can't.
than
No.
the other.
Listen, Switzerland, pick one.
Right.
one.
So anyway,
Now.
the way the anime ends, just to recap for everybody else who's watching this and maybe watching along with us. The way the anime ends, Ryuk is already, he's like, he's effed off. He's like, okay, well, and he even says as much. He goes, well, Light, it looks like you've lost. And he's like, okay, well, and he's sitting up on like a water tower somewhere. And he gives his speech that Dave mentioned towards the beginning. He says, it's been fun. It's been interesting. And
Very
then he
interesting.
says, but as I told you when we first met, I would be the one to write your name in my death note. And then he scribbles it. It's in there in Light Yagami. Doesn't even give any, doesn't go anywhere beyond that. Doesn't give like a way that he does. Just Light Yagami puts it in. And then we kind of zoom in on Light laying against a staircase, and he's bleeding out already. But then now all of a sudden, boom, dies of a heart attack. And that's it. In the book, though, Ryuk, everything that we said that we were commenting that he was saying alone to himself, like on the water tower, he actually says to Light's face, while get this, stepping on his chest.
Oh, wow.
Because
Wow.
in the final scene in the book,
That
Light
they should have put that.
screams out to Ryuk and says, Ryuk, please save me, write their names. And Ryuk starts laughing like, did you really think I was on your side? Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, he told him right from the start he wasn't on his
And
side.
he gives him the whole, the same exact speech. So like the lines are identical, and he says, this has been entertaining. This is all this was to me. And he says,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's been interesting, but what do you want me to do? Wait around while you're rotting in jail? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Concludes what
And
I
but then
said.
he
He
adds one
sees
more
us as
line that is
playthings.
so important, and he says, and the fact that you're calling out to me, well, now that proves that you've lost.
True that.
Yeah, he
That
couldn't
would have been.
manipulate
They
right
should have
Ryuk's.
animated that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Sierra. But he couldn't play on Ryuk's feelings like he did Rem and everyone else he
Yes.
manipulated because
Yeah.
Ryuk was there for the
He
show.
was only there for the entertainment. It was
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. He was only there for the show. But
Mm-hmm.
Not
then once he realizes that, he sees the Death Note, he's like, so he kind of goes through all the what do they call it, the stages of death. He goes through like all the stages of death, and he finally reaches acceptance, and he goes, all right, well, there's nothing I can do. I guess I've lost. And it's kind of like a somber moment at the end of the book. In the anime, though, he kind of dies screaming in terror, like he does
Yeah.
not want to die. This is
Yeah.
a complete flip flop 180 of the light that we've seen so far. And part of me sort of likes that moment just a little bit better, just because I like the fact that this egocentric, nutcase who thought that he was going to be the god of the new world, in his final moments, he's crying out like any other human would. He's afraid of dying.
Well, think about it. One of the rules from the Death Note is anyone who writes a name in here will neither go to heaven or hell. So,
yeah.
They go to
I want to
limbo,
also talk about that a
purgatory.
little bit later
as
too.
the god of this new world,
Remember that.
he was, oh my God, now I'm nothing. I will be nowhere and I will be nothing. Basically, I did all of this for nothing at this point. He never got to reign over this new. When the last show was called New World, I was like, holy shit, he's going to win.
I think that's what they want you to think.
They absolutely did.
And it
They
had
absolutely do?
It had two
Absolutely.
words in the title.
Again.
It threw me off.
Uh-oh. You
But
guys
also,
said it too many
what is
times.
Ryuk gonna do for apples now?
He'll find someone else.
Yeah. He'll find
He'll just
someone
have to
else.
drop the book again.
Nier's going to start writing names in the Death Note that he has.
Because he loves apples. You can't keep him away from apples.
Especially after we know what the apples
Like a
taste like in the
horse.
Shinigami world.
Yeah. Dust.
Man, they made those apples look delicious. Like
They did.
crisp apples. Yeah.
I went grocery shopping and I was like, I gotta get some apples.
Yeah.
So,
And you're like,
He
that
makes
shit
it look
looks
so good.
scrumptious. It looks scrumptious. Like it crisp, like a crisp bite into a nice juicy apple. Now I want one. Now I want an apple. Thanks, Dad. It's all your fault.
So
Well, you know,
out of those two scenes that I just talked about, what do you guys have a preference? What do you think?
I like the way
What do
the
you
anime handled it. Like he was,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
cow, Doug's made a slight mess
What?
there. But I like the way the anime
Oh,
handled
wow.
it. You know, him being like, oh my God, I've lost, and him being upset. And
I'm sorry, we're on a delay and I just saw Doug spill it here.
I think he would
What
kind of
was-
lose his, because we even saw him losing his emotionlessness when he's like, oh, I'm gonna hold in my laughter here. I'm so close to winning. And then to see him kind of screaming when he was about to die, just I thought was a more fitting way after he was so close, thinking he had won and it was over, and he was going to reign as this world's new god, that he would be a little upset, screamy, and little crazy. And knowing he's not going to go to neither heaven or hell. I mean, it's pretty much sweet oblivion, as the
I
screaming
feel like
trees would
that's what
say.
he's scared of. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what he's scared of, is not going to heaven or hell, just disappearing. That's terrifying.
Is that really
No,
what
there's
happens, or does he just go into like a limbo?
During the writing, you can tell that the creator made a couple of choices that he decided he wanted to change how things were displayed in both the book and the anime. So he actually put up a little note. Again, another rule from the Death Note, which this one seems less like a rule, more like, hey, I just want to be clear where I stand on all of this. And it was in the very last episode. It says, all humans die and they all go to MU, which then it says translates to nothingness. So clearly, at some point, he decided, you know what? I know that I made the statement earlier on, no human will go to heaven or hell if they use the Death Note, but now I'm changing it around. No human goes to heaven or hell regardless. It does not matter, one way or the other. So now he's decided towards like the last episode, towards the end of the Death Note, the original run, there's no afterlife, hard stop. And that was his decision as a creator. A couple of times in written interviews, because again, nobody has seen the guy's face, nobody knows his true identity. So in a couple of written interviews, he's expressed that that is the way that he feels that it works in the Death Note universe. There is no afterlife, there's no rebirth, there's no reincarnation, nothing like that. Once you die, you enter nothingness, whether you use a Death Note or not. Doesn't matter.
That's what my dad believes in.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it so much that it blows your mind?
No. No.
He's not the only one on
think-
the stream that believes that.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Well, that's all right. We're not going to get into a big discussion about that tonight.
Mhm.
May God be with you.
Hey,
Yes,
at the worst,
Kira
I'm
God.
pleasantly surprised. After I die,
True.
Right.
But there is another thing that I wanted to share with you because I
it's
feel
not
like
another beer all over you, is it?
no.
Okay, good,
I
good.
feel like the people
Try
who
to
were
keep that out of it next time, you know.
what's that?
Try to keep
Try to
the beer out of it next time. you
Oh
know?
yeah, right. So I feel like the creators of the anime, I think they had another idea in mind. So I brought this up when we kind of first started talking about this on some of our earlier streams that um they had released a DVD special where they created a movie version of Death Note where they kind of skipped a lot of the details. They presented it as it was like as if it was a story being told by Ryuk. And so he's essentially recapping the entire series. And like a couple of times they'll show an entire episode, but being that it's coming from, the words of Ryuk, he skips the things that are not interesting to him. So, for instance, he'll talk about dropping the Death Note, then he skips ahead to after Light has already written a whole bunch of names and he introduces himself to Light because he wasn't there for it, so therefore it was kind of boring. And it's a way to sort of tell the Death Note story without having to watch 37 episodes, but instead like watch an hour and a half long, like movie.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something interesting that the anime creators decided to do. They had, in order to get Ryuk to tell the story, they had another Shinigami approach him and said, "Hey, Ryuk, I've been looking for you. I've been asking all the other Shinigami. I heard that you went to the human world and that you had a very interesting adventure." He says, "Yeah, I did." And he goes, "Well, I brought you an apple." And he gives him a Shinigami Realm apple, which kind of looks like a dusty pepper. It's weird.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so he goes, "It's not as good as a human apple." And the Shinigami says, the other guy, he goes, "Well, I'm sorry, that's all I could get my hands on." He says, "But anyway, can you tell me the story of this guy?" And Ryuk says, "Yeah, sure. I'll tell you. Even though you didn't give me a real apple, I'll tell you the story."
Mm-hmm.
And then the speculation around this, because of the way that this Shinigami dresses and the way that he talks, the implication is that is Light. And so the idea is that the creators of the anime had in their mind that if you're a Death Note user, there's a chance that you come back as a Shinigami. Now, again, this flies in the face of what the original creator wanted to do. But this Shinigami has kind of blondish hair, and then he's got a red tie tied around his head, almost like a bandana. And then he's wearing a tan sport coat.
No. I
So
don't
the
see
rumor is that is supposed to be Light as a Shinigami. Now, they don't say it, whether that is the case one way or the other, but that is the ongoing theory.
So he looks like Johnny from the Karate Kid.
Sweep the leg.
I don't see
I
it.
guess if Johnny wore
Yeah.
a tan sports coat and had a red tie tied around his head, sure.
He does the tie thing. I've seen that. I don't know about
Okay.
the sports coat.
But yeah. No, he looks like a twisted version of Light. That's the best way to describe it.
I don't see it. I think Light's dead. I think he succumbed.
I think it is too. I think he is too. And again, if we go with the canon that the original creator had in mind, yeah, of course, Light's gone and dead. He goes to nothingness, as does everybody else. But if we look at this again, one shot, not supposed to be canon, introductory thing, it kind of seems like that's what they were hoping for. They don't clarify, but it is kind of an interesting rumor, and I just wanted to share that with you gentlemen, because it's very
Gentlemen?
difficult to find this movie version of it. I think it was only available on DVD. I don't know if it's available anywhere for streaming.
And I did think for
I'm
the
a
longest time
gentleman.
that this was going to end, especially after he took out L, that he was going to ascend to become a Shinigami and perhaps the Shinigami King. Because he was
Well,
good at
certainly
that
not the
Death
king,
Note.
but
But I'm glad they didn't do it that way. I think he got his proper, proper dealings for, how he was. That,
you got his comeuppance.
yes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad the way that it ended. Dave mentioned that reminded him a little bit of Cowboy Bebop, and I think I kind of agree with that. It does have a very somber ending, but I think that fits. I think that fits this anime, and I think it fits the character. I wouldn't expect it to end without him dying. I just don't see a version of this anime where Light comes out on top, where he wins.
I agree.
don't know.
He was doomed from the
get it.
start.
I think so.
Yeah, right.
think
Ryuk
so.
even said it from the start. I will be writing your name in my Death Note.
I
Just glad it
think,
didn't
I
take
wish
like
he
7
didn't.
seasons.
Sorry, what?
I said I was just glad it didn't take 7 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you saying? I cut you off.
I don't remember anymore.
Oh,
It's
okay.
gone.
It was really interesting then. Huh?
Dissipated.
Well, did it have anything to do with what we were saying? The fact that so I had mentioned that I don't see any realm in which Light could have one come out on top. Did you disagree with that?
Oh, the only thing was I didn't want to see him crack like that. I didn't like seeing him crack. That's all.
Mm.
Yeah,
Is
but
that the end where he's like, like going crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Just-
was a bummer for me.
Secondhand
Just
embarrassment
imagine-
for me. Seriously, I'm watching. I'm like, oh boy, dude,
Like,
this isn't
no.
very
but
unbecoming.
it's real. It's real. Just imagine you get that close to your goal, your sinister goal.
Yeah.
You're one step away, and it's all ripped out from under you. Yeah, you're gonna crack up a little bit.
You are like
Yeah.
Lex Luthor about to finally kill Superman with the anti-life equation. And then not so fast. Kite Man swoops in and saves the day.
That's right. You watched Kite Man. That's awesome. Kite Man was so good this year. On a
No, it
on a
wasn't.
separate.
No, it wasn't.
Did you even watch it?
Yeah,
No, you didn't.
and I didn't even like it.
You didn't even watch it.
I didn't even like it.
Well, you gotta watch it in order not to like it.
I haven't finished watching it yet. I've only seen the first episode.
It's
Don't
so
tell
good.
me what to do.
That second to last episode had me rolling on the floor. I mean, with Keith David as
Darkseid.
Darkseid. Oh my God, that is so funny.
When he
And
kidnaps the
still
guy,
serious.
when he takes the kid from the pet store back to Apocalypse.
Oh yeah. You guaranteed me. And he just takes it. He's like, I guess I can start working on Saturday.
You'll go now.
Oh, that was so good.
No,
Anyway,
it wasn't.
you can't say that. You haven't seen it.
I think she's trying to get your goat, Dave.
I think she is.
She's telling you that people are leaving your rallies early. And
Are
they're
you
bored.
gaslighting me?
I'm harassing.
Listen, you know, in Springfield, they're eating the cats and the dogs.
The dogs.
The dogs.
I saw the greatest
What?
meme about that. Do you guys ever watch Impractical Jokers?
No.
Absolutely not.
God, no.
No way.
It's a
What?
horrible show.
Absolutely not.
It is
Of
not a
course.
horror.
It is a dumb
Jack
show, and you
loves
should
that
feel
show.
bad for watching it.
Jacqueline loves that show.
See, I find it humorous too, but the
No, I
meme
like
is
it.
they're like sitting back in the back because they always tell the people what to say, and he goes, "Oh, tell them they're eating the cats and dogs now," and they show Trump, and they're eating the cats and dogs, and they're all like cracking up in the back room. I thought that was fun.
That is
Okay, in a similar
we're
vein.
frozen. I'm frozen. Are you guys frozen?
No,
No.
and you're not frozen. You're fine.
Okay.
But in a similar vein, there was a video that came out on Cracked right around the time
On
that
what?
Trump did get elected.
Why are you talking about crack on here?
Cracked.com. It was an ancient video production service.
Sorry.
It used to be entertaining back in the early aughts.
The early oats. I love it.
But no, it was it started off as kind of like this really funny video, and then it got like dark and depressing because they uploaded. You can tell when they originally started writing it, they didn't think Trump was going to win, but then they tacked on a scene like right at the end, just as it was, and then they uploaded it. But the premise was it was these two guys doing a prank show, and they were going to do they're like, okay, we got it, yeah, and they're on the phone with Donald Trump, like, okay, we booked him, oh, he's in, this is going to be the funniest thing ever, and like, do you think he's ever even gonna make it past the primaries? No, I give him 2 weeks tops. And it's like, so they're like, all right, this is gonna be hilarious. We're gonna have him descend down a golden escalator, and he's gonna call immigrants rapists and murderers, and there's no way that he's gonna make it beyond that point. And then they're like, huh, it played. What do you mean it played? America seemed to like it? Huh. Little disappointed in the American people, but okay. I guess we'll just keep it going then.
They overplayed it.
Yeah. And so by the time like they reach the end, they're his full-fledged like his script writers, and they've run his campaign successfully, got him elected, and they're smoking heavily, and like, so what's next? I don't know, 4 to 8 years in the White House. And then we go on Kimmel and tell everybody what a big joke it was.
Well, that didn't work out the way they planned.
It was still a funny video though. I enjoyed it. I recommend that you watch it. I kind of miss Crack's videos. They had pretty good production value, and they were pretty funny.
Yeah, like Cracked Magazine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
On that note,
the magazine wasn't always great.
Should we rate these episodes and the series as a whole?
Yes, I want to know what you
I think we should. And then I'd also like to leave a little bit of time because there's something interesting that I'd like to tell you when we're done rating them.
Okay.
Is it
I don't
still
wanna
about
hear
this
it.
show, or is it
It
something
is,
else?
yes.
Okay. Well, as is tradition, I will go first.
No.
These last 3 episodes were saved by the final episode. I still saw it going downhill, even though they were trying to make it a little more interesting. And it, with Mello in there, it did get a little bit more interesting. But overall, I just saw it going downhill since the 26th episode. I've said that before. These 3 episodes, I would give, just because of the last episode, I would give it a 7. The overall series, what did I give Cowboy Bebop? I think I gave that a 9, right?
I think
Overall.
so, yeah.
So with this, and I was talking to Sierra about this last night, and I think, Sierra, I gave it an 8 last night, but tonight I'm going to give it, I thought about it a little more, I'm going to give the overall series an 8.5. Just under Cowboy Bebop, and just under, really, it's just under Morbius. No, it's just under.
You lied. You lied.
Just under Endgame. So it was pretty damn good. I would recommend it to anybody. Just say, don't worry about, the episodes after 26 kind of fall off, but the whole story altogether is still good story. So That's my rating, 8.5.
I'm very similar to Dave. I but I am rating it a little bit higher. So, I've pretty much been in line with you gentlemen. I kind of feel like it does fall off after, part one, after we lose L. It doesn't seem to have the same dynamic. And again, they also kind of do this weird time skip where we're supposed to believe that for 5 years nothing really gets done in the other than the fact that, Kira's killings continue. Say that 5 times fast.
Heroes killings
Kira's
continue.
killings continue.
Okay, I guess it wasn't as hard as I thought. But
Killings
But we're
Kara
supposed to-
continued. Wait, hold on. There. I saved face for you, Doug.
thanks. But we're supposed to believe that this task force has done nothing, and even the show realizes that, and so they have like near comment like part way, and he goes, "You guys haven't done anything. Why would I trust you? Like, it's been 5 years. What do you even have? Like, what have you been doing this whole time? You have no evidence. You've caught nothing. You've got no leads."
We've been tracking all the killings. We know.
Yeah, that's it. And so like I think even the show and the book, I think they realized like we kind of wrote ourselves into a corner. We got rid of like the only cool dynamic. But the where it all ends up leading up to, I think it was worth it in the end, especially with the kind of ending we got. It was fitting. And so for these 3 episodes, I will give them an 8 out of 10, and it is mostly the final episode that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but there's a couple of good parts that I pointed out in the 2 episodes leading up to that last one. Like, I will say the fact that we get this moment with Matt, just as he's like, "You're not gonna shoot me. This is Japan." Immediately get, and like I imagined the screen from what do you call it? Always Sunny. Just it pops with a little subtitle. At this point, Matt gets viciously shot multiple times, something like that. And it's just like it was so comedic. Just so the "you're not gonna shoot me."
Wrong.
And then Mello's even like, "Oh, wow, that is not the direction I thought this was gonna go." And just the fact that Kira in his like, the final moments that we spend with him, he is so over the top. He's so like, just really sniffing his own farts. He thinks he's won. And just the animators. Kudos to you. Zoom in on that face, and we get to see all the muscle twitching of his like he's trying to hold back the laughter and hold back the smile. And that was beautiful. That was well done. So I do give them credit for that. So yeah, for these 3 episodes, I'm gonna give them an 8 out of 10. And I think overall for this series, oh boy, I highly recommend it. If you have not seen Death Note, you've got to watch Death Note. It's so good. And by the way, if you're watching our review of the final episode of Death Note and you still haven't watched Death Note, I mean, sorry, spoilers, still go watch it. But I would give the series overall a 9 out of 10. And it's phenomenal. It is, as I stated, and Sierra even pointed this out, this is like an essential column of anime. I mean, you can't recommend to people try out anime and then never bring this up. This is a pillar of the anime community. It is so good, and it is such an important anime that, like I said, they have merchandise out the wazoo for this anime. They still talk about it. The musical was originally written in, I think, 2022 or something like that. And then again, the London version came out in 2023, and then this Texas theater bought it in 2024, bought the license for it. So it's still that popular to this day. And the fact that the Duffer Brothers, the people who are behind writing Stranger Things, they want to try and make their own live action version of it. I don't see that going well, but sure.
Just
They
so
have
you
to
know,
get will to both do it. Does that
just
start
gonna
the
say-
timer now? Because
I
it was
did.
just started.
I just started the timer. Great minds think alike.
Did I miss the final rating? I went out for a minute there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. My final rating was for the series overall, 9 out of 10. I think it's phenomenal. You have to watch it. If you haven't watched it already, please do so. It is imperative that you do. It is when we call it a pillar of anime. We're not joking. It really is that good. It is so important to the anime world. Like I said, there's still to this day merch
He's
flowing out of
actually
stores for it.
lying.
There are movies, shows, books. Even the original creator of the series decided that he was going to keep on writing more stories whenever he was inspired. And I will talk more about that after we get the ratings from Keith and Sierra.
And not just us. If there's anybody in the audience who wants to give a rating, please do it and explain why in the comments.
Don't do it.
Don't do
listen
it.
to him.
Get on the chopper and get out of here.
So, Sierra, are you next?
No, I think it's Keith.
NYSQ does give it a 7 in the chat.
Okay.
So, that's now.
I assume that's for the series overall.
He didn't specify, but yes, we'll assume it's for the series overall. The one thing that the last 3 episodes did, which the rest of part 2 did not, each episode got a little better. I mean, 35 was kind of standard for part 2, and then 36 was starting to pick up, especially on that cliffhanger on that, at the end of that episode. And then I think they really did a great job wrapping up this series. I mean, I did appreciate the fact that Light kind of lost it, and I felt that was the corruption of the Death Note. And Ryuk didn't seem surprised at all because he's probably seen this happen a number of times. When they come out with the Tales of Ryuk, and you hear about all the people he's, dropped the Death Note to and all that fun stuff, it's going to be a great time. But it still was lacking from part 1. And I get Doug's, him killing L really showed him to be the villain that we needed him to be. How is he going to get caught? It added to it. Unfortunately, I didn't write the second half well enough to dive into that. But I still really enjoyed it. I think these last 3 episodes, I'll probably give it about a 7.2 repeating. And I think overall, I'm going to give it a 9.1. I mean, it's hard to not talk about how great that first part was. I mean, I was completely enthralled by almost all of these episodes. As soon as I started watching, I was like, oh, this is really good. And
you were hooked, weren't you?
I was 100% hooked. And that was hooked all the way up until, I started watching the second part. But it was still good. The second part was still good. It just wasn't as good as part 1. It wasn't, I don't want to give the opinion that it was trash and not worth the time. It just couldn't compare to part 1 because the part 1 was phenomenal. And that's why I'm going to go 9.1. And once again, I would recommend anyone to watch this because 26 episodes of just high quality anime is worth it for the, 10 episodes of, good anime and a fitting ending, I think, for the story.
You heard it here. Keith said part 2 is trash. cut that out. Make that a clip. Keith said part 2 is trash. Don't watch it. Garbage goober. Trash. I love trash. Yum yum trash.
I would tell Sierra to give us her rating, but I'm not telling her what to do.
Yeah. As long as you know.
Would you like to share with us, Sierra? We'd like to hear what you have to say.
Personally, for personal tastes, I wouldn't give it. I would give it a 7 for personal taste because I've seen a lot of anime, and I've seen not so much better, just something, just something more in my style. For this one, it really was a downer for me when L died. I understood why. It made sense to the story. I wasn't, I was upset, but I wasn't upset. And then when he cracked at the end, I was disappointed in that character development, even though it made sense. So that's why personally it would be a 7, but for anime overall, I do give it an 8 because it is such a staple in the anime community. its fandom is pretty dope. They're pretty big too, and it doesn't like it never gets old. I really love Misa and Elle, but Misa's my girl, honestly. Like I would get merch with her on it to this day. So
Misa and Colt Jam.
yeah, yeah,
It's
sure
so
did.
expensive though.
But I guess as a neutral answer, solid neutral answer between both of those ratings would be like a 7.5. Yeah.
That's your rating of the show is 7.5. I'm sorry. That's your rating for the show is a 7.5.
Your 5 minutes is up. I forgot you guys
Yeah.
can't hear the timer going off.
Yeah, no, we can't. But
Really?
yeah, it's a 7.5, but that's only because I'm thinking about other animes that are closer to my taste, if that makes any sense.
Did you watch Platinum End?
Nope.
Written by the same guy.
Huh? Written by the I
Right.
believe it.
Yep.
Wait, I
I'm
thought we didn't know
actually-
who Colt does know.
I
His pen
said they
name.
do.
His pen name. We don't know who he really is in real life.
Well,
Joe Biden.
I'm watching.
If Joe Biden wrote an
Richard
anime, it would be
Bachman.
exclusively about trains, and you know it.
Richard
That-
Bachman, right?
From Bachman
That's
Turner
Steve-
Overdrive.
Metal
pen name?
Alchemist. I
That's
started
Stephen
Full
King's
Metal
pen name.
You said you started Full Metal Alchemist?
Yes.
Wait, recently?
Yeah.
Where? Oh, I got to know where you found it because I haven't been able to find the original streaming anywhere.
Netflix.
Oh my God, it's on Netflix? Oh, this
Netflix
is
has
exciting.
A lot of
Okay,
anime
well,
right now.
I know what I'm gonna have to rewatch.
Yeah. And I'm starting
Love
that.
Full Metal.
I'm
It's so good.
watching Ranma. Ranma's
What?
pretty-
Aqua Team Hunger Force?
That too.
I love
Or,
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Aqua
But it's not
Lab.
anime.
Is that
As long
what
as
it's
we're
called?
talking about like old, again, Adult Swim animated thing, I loved C Lab 2021.
C Lab 20. Yes, I started that.
That's
too.
it.
Oh man,
Dude, that was one of the best shows on Adult Swim I've ever seen. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
So good.
It's hilarious. And then I started Twilight Zone. Well, not I'm on season 2, episode 27. So I'm going to season 3. But yeah, I
She's
started watching.
talking the 1960s Twilight Zone.
nice, good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
There's some
won't
interesting
watch the
ones.
new one. No, there's so many that are way ahead of their time right now, and
Oh, yeah.
it's. I'm like, geez, this is what you guys. This is where a lot of like, I feel like movie directors, movie creators, stories. You know, the people who write the writers. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Talk. I feel like that's where a lot of the writers for a lot of movies got their inspirations from. Because if that was like 1960, there's a lot of movies I could see that kind of did the same plot, you know, just their way. But it's pretty eye opening. And it doesn't always have a happy ending, and it's pretty awesome. I love it. I have a theory about Twilight Zone though. I think that it's like the afterworld, the afterlife. Maybe all of these
For the
people
bad
die.
people.
Maybe, well, no, because it's not always bad. I think it's
It's like purgatory.
like. Yeah.
I'll tell you what
And-
happens when you die, Sierra. It's just like going to sleep.
I don't believe that. I don't want to believe it. It's not fun. And it gives me nothing to look forward to. That sounds not fun.
Look forward to the rest of your life.
I am looking forward to the rest of my life, but I'm saying, what's the point of living life if you can't remember it afterwards?
Because you live it. You make the
'Cause
most
you
of it.
live
Live every day.
Well, yeah. I'm not, you know, if that does happen, which is a very possible idea, it makes sense. Religion and God could be completely made up by man in their brain to cope with reality. It totally makes sense. I totally understand that. But then there's certain things that happen. I consider God the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And
Hey, as
The
long as you
universe
don't make
does
fun of the
crazy
one true
things.
religion, Scientology, then
let's not talk about Scientology. Duh.
Okay, Isaac
Oh,
Hayes
God.
over there.
What is his name? Tom Cruise?
But Isaac
No,
Hayes
his
got,
name's Doug.
No,
Isaac Hayes had to stop working on South Park because he didn't like that they made fun of Scientology.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get behind that one.
I do like the way that they wrote him out, though. They essentially turned him into Darth Vader at the end.
I just they're so creative on that show. Keith, you don't watch that show, right?
I've never seen it. I would probably enjoy it. I've just never.
You would
like,
really enjoy it. You would.
Because I know it's very pop culture, it's very current pop culture stuff, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would watch it. I'd have no problems watching it. I've just never seen an episode. I don't know when it's on. Like I'll see it ending, like when I'll record the Daily Show, and I'll hear the music at the end, but I've never seen. I know the characters from like other things, but never.
Well,
seen
it is on Max. If you ever want to watch it there,
There was
Lying,
the one.
it's not on.
Oh,
it's on Max.
Why are you lying, Dave?
No, it's not on Max.
Unbelievable.
It's on Max.
It's
Sierra, hee haw, hee haw.
It's on Max, but the recent specials that they made are on Paramount.
Oh, what do they call that? The
Movies.
no,
They're more like
the lockdown
extended
special.
episodes.
The lockdown special.
They did that one. They're like all the recent specials. Like they did one recently called "The End of Obesity," and I got to praise the creators for this. They made the opening almost identical to Dawn of the Dead.
Oh wow.
They redid the South Park opening song in the same it sounded just like Johnny Cash's "When the Man Comes Around." It's like going down to South Park, gonna see a friend of mine. Dun dun dun.
Is it still Primus though?
No. They had the creators doing the voice.
Oh.
Doing the voices, but it was good because then they like intercut it with like a bunch of people that are trying to like break down doors of pharmacies, real newsreels of people breaking down like pharmacy doors trying to get, the Ozempic and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, creative. I like it. Good.
Oh, Doug, what was that thing you were excited to talk about?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay, that's all we got for you guys
Not
tonight.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Not okay. You waited too long. And
You remember how he
that's
said?
all we got. Yeah. Go ahead, Doug.
He's afraid to talk.
You remember how I said that the creator basically said, okay, this is how I want to end the series. Don't try and get me to write more. I'm not going to extend it any more than this. This is how it ends. Kira dies, so on and so forth. And he kind of made that pretty clear that was how he wanted it to end. That does not mean that he was excluding the fact that he might get inspired later on. And several years later, he did. And every now and again, he would release a new short story. So Sierra and I have both mentioned that when this was originally released, it wasn't its own thing. It was in a book called Shonen Jump.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a bunch of stories. It's like, if you remember the early days of Marvel Comics and DC Comics where they would have like Detective Comics introducing Batman and then whatever else other character they wanted to have in there, whatever other story.
Yeah, they always had Marvel Spotlight books where it'd be like, this guy's not enough to carry his own book, but we got a story in there for him.
Well, that's the way Shonen Jump works. It's always like just a whole bunch of stories. They're usually like the digest, like the Archie Digest books. It's a lot like that. And so whenever he would come up with a new idea, I'd be like, I'll submit it to Shonen Jump, see if anybody likes it. Eventually, he did compile it into like a full graphic novel. But all of these stories are kind of like what if scenarios. What if Ryuk decided to drop the book later on after Light had died, but the person wasn't as dedicated as Light? So there are all these sort of like, let's explore these different scenarios now that the original story has ended. He's not going to change the original story, but he does answer a question that a lot of people like you gentlemen asked earlier. What's stopping Ryuk from doing this again? Hell, what's stopping any of the Shinigami from doing this now that they've realized I kind of look like Ryuk had some fun?
And you got to eat some apples.
And so that's what's explored in a lot of these.
Being stuck.
And it is kind of interesting.
Still doing it.
Do you want me to kind of give you like the brief explanation, like the spoiler version of it?
Yes.
Sure.
So in the first one, this is about 3 or 4 years after Light has died. And at this point, they actually mention, time has passed, more people have smartphones, the internet's a bigger deal. There are cameras everywhere in the event that another Kira pops out. Like they're pretty well prepared for this. Nier is back. He's living in America again. He's, out solving cases, doing his thing, but he only takes cases that are interesting to him. And so he's pretty much disbanded the SPK. They don't need to exist anymore. Kira's gone. But Ryuk decides that he's going to tell all the other Shinigami about how much fun he had, and he wants them to all give it a try too. None of them have been as successful. In fact, one Shinigami that approaches him in the beginning of the short story, he looks like a little slug monster. It's kind of funny. And he goes,
Uh-huh.
"It didn't work for me, but as promised, I brought you some apples." He goes, "Okay, thanks." He goes, "You know what? Let me show them how it's done." And so he goes back to Earth and he tries to find somebody, gives him the notebook, and it turns out the only thing this guy wants to do is eliminate people that want to die. And he only targets the elderly. And Ryuk is kind of surprised by this. He's like, you're not at all like the human that I was working with before. You're not nearly as interesting. But I'll hang around for a little while just to see if you end up escalating. And the funniest part about this, they tell Nier about this, like, hey, we think we might have another Kira. And he's like, that's insulting to the original Kira. I want you to, if you're going to refer to this guy as anything, you're going to call him Cheap Kira. He's a knockoff Kira.
Was
And
Nier a
he,
little
and
older?
he, what's that?
Was Nier a little bit older?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. He's like 3 or 4 years older now. So he's a little bit
Who is
taller.
near adult?
He's still playing with toys. They haven't dropped that. I don't know why.
Yeah, who would still do that?
As he knocked down all of your toys.
Who would have a Funko Pop made of them?
Right.
I
Yes.
did it.
I don't have an entire comic book rack of all of my favorite books. But
guys don't have paintings of yourselves as superheroes.
that's right.
Right there.
Oh, Tony Stark.
Well, good night, everybody. This stream is now over.
Well, so Nier decides that, you know what, just telling my people that I'm not interested in this isn't enough. He decides to make a broadcast announcement around the world. Hi, my name is N. I'm the successor of L, and this case isn't interesting. You're cheap, Kira. This embarrasses the guy so much that he writes his own name in the death note.
Oh, wow.
The fact that even the famous Nier, the successor of L, won't even take the case. So he considers it like the highest insult and then offs himself. And then Ryu goes back to the Shinigami realm and is like, what the heck? What is going on? Well, I've got to find somebody that's just like Light. And so he decides he's going to use the portals. He's going to look through and he's going to try and find another human. He ends up spotting this one kid, and everybody keeps saying he's the smartest middle schooler in all of Japan. He's a genius. He's passed every IQ test imaginable. And so he's like, this is my guy. This is my new Light. He's going to be interesting. I'm going to prove to all the other Shinigami that it can be done again. He goes down. He finds this kid, and this kid's like, nah, man, I'm really not that smart. I just know how to pass IQ tests. They're all the same. Ryuk's like, wait, but I thought IQ tests meant that you were smart. He's like, not really. Like, they're kind of bullshit. He's like, well, but I already gave you the books. Now I'm stuck with you. So then this kid decides, okay, well, I got you. I don't want to write any names in it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm still going to make it interesting for you. I'm going to give it up for 2 years, and I want you to come back to me in 2 years, and I want you to give me the Death Note back, and then I'm going to concoct my ultimate plan. Ryuk's like, oh, okay, this is interesting. All right, I'll do this. I'll come back in 2 years, and so he does. Kid's a little bit older. Time has passed. Things are even more, new things have been put into place now that we've potentially had another Kira. So he gives him the book, and this is his plan, and I love this because I could see this happening in the real world. He decides, yeah, I'm still not going to write any names in it. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm gonna auction it off.
That's smart. That's
And he
top.
uses Twitter to do it.
That's smart.
It's
And so he decides, okay, well, I'm gonna see whoever is the highest bidder. And sure enough, it keeps going up and up and up until he realizes, wait a minute, $1 trillion, that's not one person. Now we've got countries that are beginning. And so he says, okay. And by the way, in order to make these announcements, he's keeping himself off the internet because he knows they could track him. He has Ryuk go to the TV studio and write on a piece of paper and hold it up. Here's the best part. All of the original Kira task force, because they had touched the notebook, they can still see Ryuk.
Oh, that's funny.
That's hilarious. I love it.
That's crazy, is what it is.
And so he ends up selling it to the United States.
oh boy,
And
you just guess where that goes.
then we get a little bit more world building about how the Shinigami realm works. The king of the Shinigami, whenever he notices something like really weird going on that could upset the balance, he creates a new rule. So now we know where all of these rules have come from. And we know that they, as Keith kind of surmised when he was talking about the rule about, well, there can't be any more than, like, what was it, 6 death notes at any given time? It seemed pretty specific, like, okay, this clearly had to have happened for them to write a rule about it. Well, they end up answering that question, and that is actually the case. Apparently, once something crazy happens, that's when the Shinigami King is like, we need to create a rule. And so he writes a new rule, and Ryuk gets the last laugh. And so he comes down and he says, okay, so, what do you want me to do? Oh, good. I want you to take the notebook over to the winner of the auction. Okay, great. And so he goes and he presents it to the U.S. president and says, all right, so you won. However, I'm obliged to inform you that a new rule has been created for the book. And that is that whoever attempts to sell the Death Note will die, and whoever accepts the stolen Death Note will die. So the president's like, oh, well, shit, I don't want to die. He's like, all right, well, I tell you what. You keep it, and I'm going to tell people that I bought it so everybody will be afraid and think America has a Death Note. But I don't want to die, so I'm not actually going to take it from you. Ryuk's like, all right, sure. But he doesn't tell the kid this. And so the kid goes to withdraw all of his money and then drops dead as soon as he gets it.
Oh, because Ryuk doesn't care.
Ryuk
He's just here to, it's all a show.
Yep.
That's messed up right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
I'm going to share those 2 stories. Like I said, there's been a couple of others that he's written, but those are two of my favorites.
I think that one,
Nice.
I want to see
I
that
like
one
it.
animated.
Well, let's.
I would love to see it animated. Yeah, for sure.
So, can we segue into the next thing? The next anime? I know it's going to be a while. I don't know what you guys have coming up.
Not too long. We
But-
got Agatha and Penguin, and then
Both
nothing
starting
until
on Wednesday?
Skeleton Crew. Yeah, well, Agatha's Wednesday and Penguin is Thursday.
Okay.
Can't
Well,
wait.
What's the next one?
We were going to put
what's the next
a
anime?
we were going to put a poll on YouTube and Twitter maybe to see what people pick for us. Doug's going to pick out a couple selections. He, if you have some thoughts, I'm sure he would love to hear it.
I gotta see this list again.
I kind of
Dragon
want them,
Slayer?
before we dive into the next anime, and I wanted your thoughts on this, I kind of want to force them to watch the Netflix movie just to see, like, how much better the anime is versus that monstrosity.
Look at Sierra. She's like, absolutely.
I
not.
mean,
Said absolutely.
it would play though, wouldn't it?
No.
I mean,
Absolutely not. Like that.
it would be good though. It'd be fun. It'd be hilarious.
They're gonna. Why would you make them unnecessarily suffer?
So we can see William Dafoe.
Willem.
That's I like Willem Dafoe too.
Yeah,
He-
William
you
is a
like
good
who?
actor.
He's the only
Who do
he's
you
the
like?
only good part about that whole thing. The rest
Does
of
he
it is
play the Green
so
Goblin?
bad.
Green
Does he
Garb?
play the Green Goblin as Ryuk?
Yeah,
No.
basically.
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't say so. Willem Dafoe's a good actor. He's pretty. I don't
He's a
know.
great actor.
Yeah.
Who?
Willem
William
Dafoe?
Dafoe.
No.
So, Sierra, I would like them to watch, and I want to run this past you. For the next anime, I'd like them to watch either Erased or Steins Gate. What do you think?
Erased. That's one of the more popular ones. It might be easier to swallow.
No, you gotta get closer to the mic, yo.
We're going out of the iconic anime phase. You guys
Mm-hmm.
are seasoned now. You've watched two.
And a
Yes.
half.
Yes. Take it
Two
as a
major. No.
Uncle from
The-
Another World. We watched some of it. Point two then.
Yeah,
2.2.
but Uncle from Another World is not that's not normally on the recommended list.
I'd say Erased because I wanna I started it, but I wanna watch it with you guys.
Oh, cool. How long is it?
It's one
don't
season.
know.
Because
Yeah.
we're not gonna have a big gap between our, main shows, the Marvel and stuff.
I don't remember how long it is.
I'm looking it up right now.
It's
So
probably
in
like
my
only
mind, we gotta
26
kind of
episodes or
keep
something.
these like to the 1 or 2 season ones so that we can keep up.
There is
It is 12
12
episodes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
enough.
perfect.
Yeah, one
Perfect.
season, 12 episodes, that's it. And trust me, guys, it is good. It's good.
Mm-hmm. I think
Not
you're
for
gonna
kids.
like it. You know what? I think you guys would. I don't know why One Punch Man isn't on this list.
Because it's
Because
not
it's
for
too long.
beginners.
No, I think
I
it could
think
be.
yeah, it's definitely for beginners.
I actually don't know why it didn't make the list either. I did put it in the original poll. So I'm not
Because
sure.
it's
It
awesome.
didn't get
Well,
voted on, though.
I feel like some people probably don't even know what it is. Nobody's like, it's not too famous.
It's very funny. And it kind of makes fun of other shonen anime. That's kind of the
It
point.
does.
It's a
Yeah.
parody.
I guess they'd have to watch a shonen and then watch One Punch Man because then you would get the jokes.
Well, we're just gonna. What was the other one you mentioned? 12 episodes.
Erased.
Erased.
We should do that one first then.
Well, especially Sierra hasn't. You haven't seen it all, have you?
No, I haven't. I'm willing to restart both.
That'll be
But I
fun.
also-
We'll do that
If you like the sort of mystery aspect component of Death Note, you're gonna love this then.
I believe it.
and they wrap it up in 12 episodes,
Yes, I do.
like True
There's
Detective.
so many I want to suggest. I have so many horror animes, but it really just depends on how traumatized you want to be. But if you ever have time on your own,
What is
you
it on?
guys should.
Erased is on Crunchyroll.
Yeah. And I have a Crunchyroll subscription, so if needed, I gotcha.
So do I.
Yeah, I think I have that login information.
Yeah.
Do you have it, Keith?
I do.
Okay, good.
So there's two animes. Berserk is very traumatizing, but if you want to give that a go, that's one of the iconic animes and mangas mostly because it's
Manga.
they
Manga.
don't have the full story in anime. Or what was another one? And I can't remember now. But Berserk is one of them. But it's gonna traumatize you for sure. Or no, okay, High School of the Dead. It's about a zombie apocalypse happening to these high school kids.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my
I've heard about
God.
it.
No, it's so good. This needs to be on your list because it's so fan servicey, but it's like you're like not even really annoyed by it. You're like, okay, valid. Like,
Well,
okay.
One of the scenes that I see pop up all the time as a GIF is they make fun of the fact that a white delivery truck will send you to another world, and so that I guess on the side of the truck before it hits one of the zombie girls, it says other world delivery service.
That's hilarious.
And I'm like, okay, I'll have to
My
check. So it's on my like to watch list, but I haven't seen it yet.
No, you need to
It'd be funny
watch
if it
it.
was an
I
ice cream truck.
look, if you guys can look at like a trailer or something for High School of the Dead, do it because it's one of the best zombie animes I've ever seen, but it will never be finished because the guy who made it, which is why it's fan servicey, he makes hentai. He makes
Ooh,
money off of
okay.
that.
I don't think do you guys know what that is?
No.
No.
It's corn.
Animated
What?
corn.
It's animated corn.
Animated corn?
Yeah.
Watch that.
What do you mean who would watch that? There's an entire fan base on it. There's more than
Okay.
a fan base. There's people that dress up like these things. Like, oh my god.
Yep.
There's
Hey,
like a lot.
when I was in Pittsburgh, at the same hotel I stayed at, there was a furry convention.
That's weird to me, but I know King Shaman here. We are a family channel. We accept everyone and every king.
We are welcoming.
But
We do not kink shame.
no, we do not. Everybody's got their thing, you know what I'm saying?
I will say these guys are some of the prime reasons that furries are where they are right now.
I just saw Sonic the Hedgehog movie,
Yeah.
and it made me fall in love with Sonic. That's a good thing to
It
get
is a
into,
good
too.
movie. But hey, we
But-
should probably get ready to raid somebody.
Yeah.
It is getting late. I have to work, and I do have a sick kid.
Oh,
Not
Yeah, I
trying
get
to
it.
end the conversation, but because it's a great conversation. But
he's trying to get away from us.
never, never. But I did see that graduating is on.
Yep. Deathlock or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Or there's Seashiro FPS.
I am fine with that. I mean,
Yeah,
they only
I'm
got
good with that.
They got 3 people, and this will probably help them out.
Yeah.
So let's
course.
do that. So once again, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. We so appreciate you guys chatting with us, especially our special guest Sierra. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to Erased, but we will be back Thursday night talking about the 2-episode premiere of Agatha all along. I hope it's good, but if not, we'll have a couple hours to rag on it. So we'll have fun either way. That's what we do. But we're going to raid Graduating. If you're on YouTube, you've been watching us, you're not subscribed, do that. Like the video, comment, let us know your thoughts on Death Note. And we will see you guys all Thursday night. Those of you on Twitch will be raiding Graduating here in just a few moments.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.